right, live on the mics. All right, here we go. And 5, 4, 3.
Welcome, everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It's Lunchtime in Rome. Tonight's episode 241 is entitled Destructive Patterns, Personalization. Have you ever said to someone, it's not always about you? Are there people in your life that you have to tiptoe around so that they don't crumble? We'll be talking about how to work with that type of destructive pattern this week. So pull up a seat at the table and join us. First-time listeners can subscribe on your favorite podcast app or watch us live or later at youtube.com/lunchtime in Rome. Visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. And while there, you can take our relational needs questionnaire. Make sure to follow us on all social media, and it'd be great if you gave us a 5-star review. Jay, what specifically is this podcast about?
Being alone is the worst. Good times aren't as good, and bad times are worse when you're all alone. Romans 12:15 says to rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. That is how you keep people from being alone, and what this podcast is all about. We demonstrate that in the first 15 minutes or so of the podcast. We talk about it for the rest. So while it may not be 12:15 in Rome, we're treating it like it is lunchtime in Rome.
Oh. Wow.
Hey, guess what it is?
Lunchtime in Rome.
Where did
That was too good. I meant what week it is.
Week?
Lunchtime.
Brian knows. It's
Musical week.
Musical
yeah.
week.
It is. It is a slog through the busyness.
And to be clear, for Penn Hills.
Correct.
Not
the
necessarily
world.
McKeesport.
Correct.
Not you professionally.
Not me professionally.
You
In
personally.
fact, I'm not involved at all. I just have to clean up the pieces at home. I'm just do the
Right,
dishes,
right.
cook dinner guy.
Yeah.
Take care of.
Is Amy in the pit?
She is. So she's in the pit, and Lil's on the stage. So they've been going.
Yeah.
Does Lily have any speaking parts?
She does. So she's.
We're doing Shrek, by the way, for all everybody out there.
Yes.
I mean, I'm in it. I'm so deep in it. I'm so deep in it. I'm only going to watch it from the seats on Saturday and Sunday.
But deep in the seats.
Deep in the seats, man.
Yeah, she is the White Rabbit, which you're like, oh, the White Rabbit
Ding,
in Shrek.
ding,
Okay,
ding, ding,
it's
ding,
there.
ding, ding, ding.
Oh, that's a good song.
White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, and so she has a couple. I'll tell you, the line she is the happiest with is when they arrive at the swamp. She's the one that gets to say, "This place smells like bum."
Nice.
That'll be a great line for her to deliver.
All right, don't tell me anymore. Don't give me.
I know, no more spoilers. And then she's also the Duloc mascot. The with the
Duloc.
giant head.
Yeah, when they go to the
go to see
town,
Farquaad, and the town is
it's like the mascot head of Lord
I've seen Shrek
Farquaad.
once.
Okay,
I don't know that I've seen the whole thing.
but it's like
I don't like it. It's not interesting to me.
I like it. It's like a comically large mascot head of Lord Farquaad.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he and the mascot gets scared of the ogre and
Yeah.
runs away comically, and
Yeah.
so she gets to do that.
But I saw the picture of Ethan as Lord Farquaad. It looks so funny because he's down on his knees, to make him short, but he has these long arms. It just looks hilarious.
Yeah, it is funny.
What kind of arms?
Long arms.
Long arms.
They left him out of the Progress. The Penn Hills Progress did a thing. They left him out.
What do you mean? Like his
Well, he's cast B. He's an alternate with Sammy.
his name wasn't there.
Nothing. No pictures, anything.
that's
And
the
they
worst.
even framed it as, and Sammy's going to be both all night. So whatever. I mean, he was a little bummed about that, which I was.
a slap in the face. Not.
It's a prime
it
example.
feels like a slap in the
It's a
face.
prime
Smells like-
example of it. It's
smells
not
like-
that big of a deal, and it's a big deal.
Yeah.
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 It smells like bum.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Nice.
Bum smells.
So musical week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna unload here. Speaking of unloading, so last weekend,
Bum jokes. somehow.
I
don't know.
last Sunday, not this past weekend, the weekend prior. Wow. Was it Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. What?
You've said a lot of days, and you haven't gotten
I
anywhere.
haven't gotten anywhere. Last Sunday night, I was starting to feel like a little
Two
sick.
Sundays ago.
2 Sundays ago. And I was starting to feel a little sick. And Maggie had just been sick a couple days before, and she was, throwing up and all that. And then I got it Sunday night, and after like the 7th or 8th trip to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
So there are bum jokes, and we are unloading.
Tell Chris more about this.
Yeah.
Clearing out the attic. Then my basement was emptied out after that, and it was just I don't know if I've ever been sicker. It was
Really?
horrible. My stomach still feels like it's not right, and like for days after, like the muscles in my stomach were just so sore.
This is no joke, and I'm sorry to come in with the medical advice, but I remember one time, like in recent years, like as a middle-aged adult, I got really sick, a stomach illness too, and I just felt like my stomach, it's never gonna feel right.
Yeah.
I had to take Pepto for I don't know, a day or whatever, and then I started to feel like, okay, I feel like it's acting normally again, like appetite wise and everything.
And I've kind of like reset me, and it just got me thinking of like eating less. Like I'm down a belt size, so like I'm like, all right, let's just keep on going.
Right, might as well take advantage.
So that part feels good. And then we went to North Carolina to visit Justin and Lauren, who have sat at the table, literally at the table.
Booth bees.
The Booth Bees. We took Maggie down with us and had a great time. It wasn't a very relaxing time because they have a 3-year-old, Noah, who is so fun, but he's crazy. And he's going into the 3-nagers, so he's just a lot. He's very stubborn. We went through Maggie, no to everything. And
How was Maggie with him?
great. Yeah, she was
Cool.
great. They were really fun together. And
She had an ear infection or something too, like right before you guys had to take her.
we literally got the antibiotic the day before we went down.
So yeah, I was kind of concerned that you guys were going to be going down there.
Oh, we were going like it was like
yeah. Well, I'm glad. Like Amy,
Maggie, you got
didn't-
it.
Amy
2
never
years.
got sick.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my concern.
Yeah,
that it would pass to her.
Yeah, we slept separately for a few days just to try to avoid any of that. But yeah, and
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear you guys were able to get down there and know.
yeah, and come back to that in a minute. But my boss got let go the Friday we were away, and so and I really love my boss. He's a great guy, and I'm gonna miss him. And I'm kind of staring down at a lot of new responsibilities and things like that, which is pretty daunting. But
That's a chance for you to level up.
it's an opportunity, as they say, and a challenge. So
Well, and like you're not a big fan of change
I don't love
in the
it.
first place.
Right.
When the change involves somebody you love and appreciate and respect and your boss being let go, that's a worse change.
Right.
Now you have added responsibilities and higher expectations. Now that's even a worse change.
Yeah. There's a lot of layers to it. So
Is there good? Sure. Is
Right.
it daunting? Yes.
yeah. So yeah, I'll leave that at that for now. But yeah, going back to North Carolina, we had a great time. We played Angry Beaver, disc golf course, which was great. There's also another one right next to it called Eager Beaver.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, and reading the reviews, they both sound good, but I wanted to play Angry Beaver, and it was a great course. It was really, really fun. And man, down there with disc golf, it's like just mecca for disc golf. I mean, you're 20 minutes away from a 4-star course, like wherever you are down there. It's awesome.
I'm not sure why I live here.
Honestly, if there's a place that we would move, it would be North Carolina. I do like
Yeah,
it down there.
yeah.
I like it a lot.
It's a very nice state.
And we went to Carowinds, which is like it's their amusement park.
In both North and South Carolina.
Right on the line, you can stand in both states, and it's a really nice park. It's really cool, and they had we spent the majority of the day over in their Kiddie Land, which is Snoopy themed and very cute and fun, and Maggie loved that, and and it was.
They still have the coaster where you ride backwards. and you go. It's the only coaster I think in the world, or at least in the United States, that you take off in one state and you end up in the other state.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. We didn't really do coasters.
Have you been there, Jay?
I have.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Rachel and I went before we were married on our way to the beach one
They
day.
had a lot of cool looking coasters, but we were, with the kids and didn't yeah, kids.
Have kids, they say.
Have them, right? Who's they?
But it was
They didn't know.
It was a great time away. Like I said, it wasn't very relaxing, but it was just good to be
It
surrounded.
was a good
by,
trip, not a good vacation, or not a good rest.
Right, but it was rejuvenating in a way, being because Justin and Lauren
Good
are
friends
some of our
and-
favorite
yeah.
people, and
It's just nice to get out of the paradigm.
yeah, it was nice
For a
to
little
get
bit.
nice to get away. We had dinner at Lauren's parents, and
Ooh, I bet that was good.
her dad is so fun. He made wings, and it was really good. And it was they call him Poppy, and Maggie loves Poppy. He's very fun. He's a very fun grandpa, and she was very entertained by him. And yeah, it was a good time. So I had a lot going on, and but I'm back, and here we are.
Good.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
I have to jump back in real quick too, because Brian mentioned leveling up,
Yeah.
and that reminded me that I wanted to give an update on Level Up Challenge, because last time I was on podcast, I was talking about it was the appreciate and respond. Is that what we had called it? Mm-hmm. Appreciate and respond, or the other one that we had talked about in previous weeks was Level Up Challenge, and I was going to talk to Amy about which one we were gonna do. So I read both of them to her, and she was like, yeah, let's do Level Up Challenge. The appreciate and respond is too detailed, which I'd still like to do at some time, but I was up for either one. So I was like, okay. So we did our first week. It went moderately well. I would say we have not leveled up to level 2 yet, but we need to get a good full weekend. The problem again was musical hit. So it's like our week 2 was just like it dissolved. And so now today would be like, actually tomorrow would be the start of week 3, but we're gonna have to reset like at the beginning of next week and get a solid level 1 in. But we're going for it.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
fun.
you dropped the ball in the marriage check-in because you didn't check in.
Right. That's yes. So exactly. So at the end of week 1, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you didn't revisit it.
Right. Well, we did. We revisited it, but we revisited it late, like not at the 1 week mark. And then I was like, oh, we should have done this a couple days ago and but now it's
Right, but had you been having a regular marriage check-in, you would have looked at your calendars and said,
Yes.
hey, we got week 2 of the Level Up Challenge,
Yeah.
so why don't we get together on blankety blank?
right.
That's why. That's
No,
all I'm saying.
we got to tighten up our
I mean, it's tough because
Our
like
schedule.
life just keeps on moving.
Yeah.
and you really do have to be purposeful about it. It's it can go away so quick. Yeah.
So for me, and I want to give you props for in holding to your word, saying you were going to do it, and we'll all hold you accountable to seeing you through.
thanks.
So you say, it gets away from me quickly. I have, hired an editing and design company for my book, and I've been sort of treading water while my content editor has had the project. And I've communicated with her a couple times and like, hey, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Well, today I got the fruit of her work. And so for the last 2 to 3 weeks, she's been making edits and adjustments and whatever else. And so today she sent it to me. She said, look, this is an awful lot. Take your time, go through it. You can approve the suggestions that I've made, or you can reject the suggestions I've made. A lot of and there's some is grammar, some is punctuation. A lot of it's just flow
Sure.
of how, I said things. So that, but even within that, it's very complicated. And like I sat down and I was so excited to do it, and I had other stuff to do, so I did that first. But even before that, when she told me it was coming, she said, you need to understand, the first 2 days that I worked on your book, I just sat and cried. And her point was she had watched another family go through the loss of a child, not through cancer, and she'd been involved with them. And she said, your book really hit a raw nerve in my experience, but also my perspective and even some of my judgments on them. And so in a way, once again, I'm doing something for a purpose, and I'm supposed to do this, but I'm wondering if it's another example where I'm like for me, I want to help parents who have a child diagnosed with a life-threatening disease.
You think it's in one direction.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But the more as she and I are working on it, it's for the periphery around them to understand what they're going through.
Right.
And so we've already expanded it because originally it's our story, each chapter, then for you. And so if you're going through this or your brother is or whatever else, here's how the decisions you'll have to make.
And is that like you're summing up chapters with like action steps for certain types of
so
people?
it's what we did
Yeah, right.
is the first part of the chapter, but then it's, well, you're not us. You don't have our resources.
Right.
You don't have our personalities. But regardless, you're going to have to make these kind of decisions.
Right.
And it's good to make them. And it's everything from how are you going to interact with the hospital? How are you going to interact with your community? Are you going to be closed-minded or wide open? How are you going to do fundraisers? Who's going to do the fundraisers? What types of fundraisers are you going to do? Are you going to go on vacations or are you going to keep it closed? Those kind of things. You just took a deep inhale.
I was just going to say it's almost like a choose your own adventure for people that are in a very difficult.
If you will.
Morbid.
It's very fun. Yeah.
Choose your own adventure. I don't want this adventure.
Some adventures are not good. I wasn't saying that.
But we've,
as
so,
a fun
but we've
adventure.
already added. So, and we didn't have a title for it. And so she's working on that as I was. So we're looking like it's going to be, like stand, which has been my motto based on the full armor of God, ... when a child gets a life-threatening diagnosis or something like that. Well, so instead of the for you, it's how to stand. But then we've already added, and I've written a couple chapters worth, supporting those who stand. So that's for like the periphery.
I think that's such a great addition.
Yeah.
So I started going through it today, and I was just cracking up because and I could show you a picture of it. Like there's just red all over the place, and with each one, it can be a comma. Well, I still have to click on it,
Oh, yeah.
accept or reject.
Yeah.
And then if I change it, and she didn't tell me to do this, but I did, I was like, well, I still want her to approve the changes I've made. So like the changes I make off of the changes she made off of the original script that I wrote, I'm now doing in a different color font, so that she can see where did I change the changes.
Right.
And I ran it past her, and she was like, you do it however you need to do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But in that same regard, I already had to stop myself because I got into go mode. And I was like, click, 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 like, I got to get this done.
Right.
And then I was like, no, stop.
Yeah.
Do it right.
Right.
You don't have to do it today. You can do, I got through 2 chapters in maybe 3 hours.
How many chapters is it?
14 right now.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so I've been keeping Marcy, Kathy, Mary Lynn, my sisters, up to date with this whole process, just gently, because I want them to be praying for me, whatever else. So I sent them a screenshot of one of the first pages and just said, LOL, a lot of red ink. Well, it didn't occur to me that they would then read that page.
Yeah.
And like Mary Lynn immediately responded and said, well, I took a sneak peek at one line and I couldn't continue. Oh. And then she sent me, it was an email. And then she sent me another email and she went, oh, by the way, we're grateful that Mary Lynn sits at the head of the table.
We are.
And we're grateful for Breaking 90 for doing that. And if you'd like to do that.
And
Ashley. Go to lunchtimeinrome.com and become a paid subscriber. Then she sent me another one and just wrote, I read the entire page. This is terrible. Do not let Rachel ever read this. I'm canceling the pre-launch party. But now from a table perspective, I was like, oh, yeah. I've been sitting with this book for 3 years. And it's based on a life that I lived. I really haven't taken into account, how moving or emotional it's going to be for other people, both people close to me and people who don't even know us. Because I've already started to learn that because each person on the team, whether it be like I met with my marketing director this week and I've already met with the book cover designer and all this stuff. Each one of them is like, oh my gosh. And it's like, okay, so really I guess it does pull at a heartstring or two. So there's no summary to that. It was just like, I did not think of that.
Yeah.
Like specifically even my loved ones, like, because I know there's a lot of stuff in there they don't know about.
Sure.
So to that end and to the healing topic, the summer after Trey died, we were at the pool and a young boy who was a little bit younger than Trey, who had obviously been told that Trey's gone and everything else, but he was maybe 5. He comes up to Rachel at the pool And he goes, Trey's not here.
I remember you saying that.
And Rachel was like, what's that, buddy? Trey's not here. And she's like, that's right, buddy. He's in heaven. And like you see the mother just dying 1,000 deaths.
Right.
But I say that to say the other night I was at the volleyball match stopping in, and he plays for Plum. He's 6'2", maybe 6'3", 200 pounds, and still a little boy. And he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, Mr. Mitlow, how are you?" And I'm like, "Hey, buddy, you're playing good, whatever." So I got home and I told Rachel that. And she goes, "Did he say to you, Trey's not here?" But I say all of that to say, when he first said it, it was a gut punch.
Yeah.
But, we're maybe 7 months into our healing at that point. So it was maybe a 50-50.
Yeah.
It really hurt. And it was also cute and funny
Right.
and awkward and sad.
Yeah.
But the fact that now, 10 years later, we can just say that and we just laughed.
Yeah.
It's a testimony to healing and to proper grief.
Yeah.
So there you go. Hi, Bri.
Hey,
Hi.
don't have a whole lot here at all.
Okay.
I think I got the in-laws coming in this weekend, which would be nice
For the
because
musical?
I haven't seen them since Thanksgiving 2 years ago, not last year, but 2 years ago. So it's nice that they're going to be coming up. It's been too long, and that's just continue to plug away at work, having really hard conversations. There's something that at one point, I think Lex and I were reading some like productivity books, how to be more productive.
I got your book, by the way. Switch on your brain?
Oh, I thought you meant my book, like the human code.
No.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I haven't made it through the end of that book yet.
Well, I'm one chapter in. So.
No, good for you. Where was I? What was I saying?
You and Lex.
Reading a book.
Oh yeah, and there's this
productivity.
thing about eat your frog, right? It's like do the thing, that you most don't want to do. Like
I don't know. It depends on how you prepare the frog.
What does that come from? What is that?
It's just like you don't want to eat a frog. Like it's kind of a disgusting
Okay.
thought, right? And
Yeah,
like what is your frog or your frogs for the day? Go just eat them. Just shove them down your throat. Get them out of the way, and then you're done. You're done eating frogs.
This is already the strangest productivity book I've ever heard of.
It's a fantastic book.
Oh, that's the name of the book.
Eat Your Frog.
Yeah. By Brian Tracy.
Oh, Brian Tracy. Is that where it came from? I don't know.
2001.
Well, we heard it somewhere, and it was always one of those things like we internalized, and was like, yeah, okay, well, I ate 2 frogs today. Didn't want to. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry. It's great. I just can't not chuckle.
Sure. So just eating a lot of frogs recently, stuff that you just don't want to do, don't want to have that conversation, don't want to, you just don't want to do it, but you have to. So, but it's good, again.
Well, it's better than avoiding the frog.
Yeah.
Because the frog's still there. I don't know. The analogy falls short at some point. But,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, like, you don't want to do it, but there's valor and credibility and achievement in doing it.
Right.
And when it's done, it's done.
It's right.
Have you ever had frog? I guess one would be
Maybe
legs.
in Brazil.
Yeah, I'm saying
Maybe in Brazil.
frog legs would probably be fine, but I just imagine just eating a live frog.
Right,
That
just
seems
like,
so.
That'd be a
slurping
bit
it
of a
down.
battle.
A battle.
Can you imagine
Like,
like it
it's literally fighting
wiggling down
to
your
get
throat?
out? It sounds so
Or
terrible.
like the ones at Ocracoke. You could pop one of those down.
Oh, those
pretty
are tiny. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've
Oh.
got those little suction cup fingers. They'd like stick to your esophagus.
easy. Yeah.
I'm good.
Got something stuck in my throat.
And I did want
So-
to
frog.
talk about something I did make that.
Oh, yeah.
is
You were
good.
sitting on this last week.
Yeah,
Bracciole.
Roulinade.
Roulade.
Roulade.
The Italians call it a bracciole.
Is that what it is? Yeah, basically it was just a very thin, like rump roast or steak, like a very thin frog, right? That like basically I cut into strips and wrapped up bacon inside of it, and seasonings. It was really, really good. Really happy with that new recipe. It was in the carnivore cookbook.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
So looking forward this weekend with the boy and the musical and seeing our kids do cool stuff. Like I love to see them do those kind of
Yeah, we're bringing Meg.
exhibit their talent.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, we're excited. And she'll love it.
Coming on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Has she seen the movie?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, she loves the movie.
And here's how much Rachel loves your son. We're going tomorrow night because we have a wedding on Saturday. So on a school night, she's going.
Ooh, that's fair because she's
Nope.
early to bed, early to
and,
rise.
And Friday's her earlier morning. I think her alarm goes off at 5:15 on Fridays.
Wow, that's dedication.
That's love right there, baby. So we will see it. And we're happy that even if she didn't, Ethan wouldn't say, "Oh, Rachel hates me, and that's why
Right.
she didn't come." And Ethan didn't say, "Oh, maybe he did though. The newspaper left me out. This always happens to me. They have a vendetta against me. It's the worst. I'm a loser, and everybody hates me."
No, he just went right to the his first reaction was to talk about the girl that wrote she's like, she's probably fat.
Wow.
Or whatever. Maybe he didn't call her fat. And I'm sorry if you're listening who wrote this article.
I was just going to say, because I know a lot of the.
Yeah, let's retract that. He was extremely nice and
that's a
took it
drop.
great. Took being left out great.
He probably said, like, yeah, she probably had a really bad day, and so I understand that she might have made a
that's
mistake.
I mean, where did I come
Grace
up?
must abound.
Where did I come up with what I just
I'd like
said?
her to choke on frog.
Yeah,
So
I like your version better.
we have found, and it is known, and I have been trained in, and I have resources that show
Do tell.
that too many introductions to a topic can be distracting. That there are
Always remember,
Yeah.
Never,
Always
ever,
don't-
at any cost.
Don't ever, no matter what it matters. Please always remember, don't ever forget. Women, oh, sorry, no, that was my dad.
that's your dad.
That there are destructive patterns of communication. And last week we went over polarizing, wasn't
weeks.
it? Last episode,
Yeah,
if you
last
will,
episode,
last time at the table.
Yeah.
And this is really predominantly for you. If you identify with this and you go, oh, wait, that's me, then we can help you with that. If it isn't you and it's your spouse, your child, your neighbor, your coworker, whatever, you're not inherently going to be able to fix them, but you're going to maybe understand them a little bit better.
That makes sense because if you're personalizing, like
Especially personalizing.
it's about you.
Well, and looking at things through a different lens like that is like, because we've talked about it before. We just talked about it with like Ethan. Oh, they're probably really hurt, and they're going through it, or whatever. Because like you never really think about that. You never really think about everybody's going through something, but you don't really think about that in the moment if somebody like ticks you off about something or whatever.
I think this speaks to the whole main character syndrome.
Yeah.
I think we're
specifically
we're,
this.
Yes, this particular thing where, like I said in the beginning, it's not always about you. The people in your life, you have to tiptoe around so they don't crumble. It's, and I did kind of look at the outline earlier.
Sure.
But it really is about, everybody's out to get me. Things are always happening to me. Like
It's my fault.
it's
also my fault.
It really becomes the entire world it revolves around me. And it's like the main character syndrome, and everybody else is kind of just everybody and everything else is kind of a cursory or big cause of everything happening to you, and it's all on purpose because you're the main character.
And we find it a lot. Like it's pretty much all of social media
Yes,
in a lot of ways. But what's funny is it occurred to me in a subtle way how many sports fans think that.
Oh, the refs are out to get us.
There's that. But also, I turned on the game and the other team scored. So they turn it off.
Oh, it's my fault. Yeah, I jinxed them.
I wore the wrong pants, whatever else.
Right.
So let's dig a little bit into personalizing. And we've already described it. So, I don't know that I need to go into it too deep. But it's taking external events as personal rejections and or attacks. So external events, not internal, but external, that are not inherently correlated, but you take it on to a personal attack or a personal rejection. It's the my fault thought pattern.
It sounds like, that makes it sound like guilt. I was going to say self-condemnation too. Like, does it?
We'll get to that.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, it's in there. So the descriptions are they overestimate the extent that an event is related to him or her. Mm-hmm. Sure. Tends to be moody and easily hurt by seeming rejections. Mm-hmm. So like you could say, well, nobody likes to be rejected. You weren't rejected.
Right.
You know, your flight got canceled. I don't know what to tell you. Like it's just my luck.
Right.
You know, or they, you know, and that's an extreme example, but you know, more subtle ones or more you could easily attach, but yet it wouldn't be an accurate attachment. Like I didn't get the job. Mm-hmm. Oh, they hated me. I'm the worst. Whatever else. Like
Sometimes you don't get the job.
maybe somebody else was more qualified.
Right.
Yeah.
Like maybe you were qualified,
Yeah.
but they were more qualified. But if you personalize everything, well, then it's they hate me. They hated my vision. They hated everything about it.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you what, to a degree with my content editor, I went through this the last couple of weeks because I'm like, it's been 4 days and I haven't heard anything from her. So does she think it's a piece of crap? Is she mad she even has to work on this? Well, meanwhile, she's weeping.
Right. And she did a lot of
processing,
work.
And she did a crap ton of work.
Yeah.
Right.
But if I let myself, and so that's why I would email her and be like, hey, just checking in. Where are we? You know?
It's the George McFly syndrome of like, I just don't think I can take that kind of rejection.
Well, I can't take any rejection, and I take things that aren't rejection as rejection.
Yeah.
They're very often insecure and self-condemned. Chris gets a bonus point.
Ding, ding.
And they blame themselves for everything. I would say they blame themselves for everything and get angry at everybody for everything. You know, like I said, you walk on tiptoes around them. You know, like if you have to cancel plans with them, you're like, oh boy,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
Or if, like, imagine you're their boss. Now, it depends on what kind of boss you are. But, like, hey, I got to change the project. Oh, of course you did. Oh, because now I have to, you know, and you're like, all right, it's time for you to go.
Does this tie in with Sweet Martyr? Would you refresh Sweet Martyr, and does it tie in? If it doesn't tie in, then don't talk about it.
I don't know because you just asked me.
Okay.
So, Sweet Martyr, we went over relationship games, and these are involuntary games that we slip into based on our hurts and our emotional needs. And one is Nothing's Wrong, in quotes, or Nothing's Wrong and Sweet Martyr. I think, is that the one? But anyhow, so the Sweet Martyr is, well, why don't you tell me your perception of Sweet Martyr?
You just went in like little kid mode.
You really did.
You were like, he's so cute.
I just somebody that it's all my fault, and I like when I hear Sweet Martyr, it's like just this person that's beaten down and takes like all the faults of everything on themselves. But I can't remember if that's what it means in the context of a relationship.
Right. Well, a little spoiler alert. Once we get done with this series, that is a future series because the relationship games are pretty much like from a marriage perspective. But I want to look at it from adult children to their parents and different games, how it applies to that relationship as well. So I will be revisiting all of those soon. So I'll get back to you on the Sweet Martyr there.
Do we also have, put Eric on the spot, do we know what episode that would be that we can put in the show notes?
You can certainly look it up at a point in time.
What was it called?
Relationship games.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
Cool.
that's the series. And then
I
there's
feel like it
different-
was somewhat early on, 20s, 30s.
Wow.
Oh, no. I'd say
No?
it's maybe around.
That'd be amazing if you remember.
Let's all
that.
take a guess. I would say it's probably closer to like
I mean, I wasn't-
100.
was I here
No, I would say
for
it's about
this?
80.
Really?
I'll say 80. Are you looking it up?
No, not right now.
Okay. So others may view them as fragile, overly sensitive, fragile, overly sensitive, childish, self-centered, and even hysterical. Which, again, that fits the mold.
Yeah.
So as we go through this, just spoiler of what's happening inside my brain. My lovely wife, her hurts absolutely go to self-condemnation first.
Okay.
And so I'm weighing all of this
You're
against.
saying, is this what she does?
Well, I am asking that in my head as we go. Yes, I'm not saying she is this.
No.
But like when I read those things, fragile, overly sensitive, childish, that's not her. She more internalizes it. You know what I mean? And
She feels all that. No,
Yes.
So what that is, others may view them as.
right.
But the one above it, she is insecure and self-condemned and blames self for everything.
Right.
You're like, oh,
It's that one. Yeah.
well, wait till we get to the next line.
Cool.
What's the background? How do people end up this way? Because once again, and I just said this to somebody last week, I said, look, we all have different strengths. Nobody chooses their weaknesses. Because they were complaining about somebody who they should, because they'd really been bothersome. And I was trying to give them some perspective. I'm like, look, they didn't choose to be this way.
Right.
They may have chosen not to get help with it,
Right.
but they didn't choose to be this way. These people often were rejected or neglected in childhood.
Mainly up until 12. Is
Yeah,
usually
that's
what
when we always say childhood, it's 0 to 12.
Yeah.
Or they come from a highly critical home environment where he or she was often wrongly blamed for whatever was happening. So it's both ends of the spectrum. It's being ignored, or everything's your fault. And
I can't say too much. I just want to cry
I'm
a little
surprised
bit.
you've said as much as you have.
I just want to cry a little bit.
All right.
Yep. This is it's great.
Hits home.
This is great. You mean this is helpful?
It's
and
very
accurate.
helpful. Yeah.
But yeah, like I know of people who have been this way, and it was, well, ever since, my mom got remarried, then they started to fight, and then it was always my fault because, my stepfather didn't like me. Or, you were the last child and then the marriage fell apart and you were walking around thinking you were the reason why this happened. Or there's parents who are like, I'd be happy if it wasn't for you. Well, then guess what? That's going to leave a deep mark.
I don't want to isolate on Rachel
Sure.
because I don't think this is her.
She'll never hear this. Go on.
Well, I don't think this is her though.
She was neglected.
And it's shocking to me. Like she doesn't exhibit these things to me in any way, which is shocking to me because like you could say like her mom died in childbirth with her.
No, but 6 weeks after.
Okay.
Right. Because she had cancer and chose that Rachel could live.
So Rachel could live with Rachel could accept the fact my mom's dead because of me.
She could.
And she doesn't, which
She
I
does
think is
not.
like she's gone through so much healing or has
Yes.
been given the right perspective. Like that honestly, like
Rachel
listening to
should be
this,
because
it's a miracle she's not.
because she could say, "Oh, my mother's not here, and it's my fault," which it isn't. It's
Right.
her mother's selfless act of love.
Right.
But how much do people accept like that kind of for far less? That becomes their identity where
Right. Their parents got divorced, and you just assume it's about you. Nobody
it's
said
all
it was
about
you.
me. And and then everything else from that point on for the rest of your life, you're seeing it through that lens, and you're taking on things that you never should take on, and owning things that you should never own.
Yeah, and and we just got done with week 13, our final week of grief share, and not inherently the people in the room, but on the videos that we watch, the number of people that say, "I was too hard on my spouse. They worked too hard. That's why their heart gave out." Or if I only would have just, gotten my son or daughter help, they wouldn't have become an alcoholic, or they wouldn't have committed suicide. I mean, there's so much.
Yeah.
And the really, some of the toughest videos we watched were times where it's like, yeah, it was kind of your fault. Like, sometimes you take blame that's not yours, which is what we're talking about here.
Right.
But there's times when it's like, that's just another whole topic, but it's like, that's brutal.
Yeah.
When you're just like, anyhow. So again, it's people who are neglected. And again, I should point out, it's not everybody who is neglected personalizes everything. But people who personalize everything very often were neglected as a child, or they were grown up in a hypercritical environment. Same thing. Just because you grew up in a hypercritical environment doesn't mean you personalize everything.
Would you say the Joneses don't get B's or whatever? Like that kind of an environment.
That environment would be more, well, but even more so. Like, you know why your mother drinks so much? Because you got a B on the test last week.
Gosh.
Oh my God.
That would be something that Jones' father would have said.
Brutal.
But here's the actual truth. Number one, we are not the target or cause of everything that happens to us.
It's true.
It's very true.
Life
but
is
the
big
person
and
who is stuck
complicated.
in personalization
And if that's you,
things.
stop and hear that again. No, I wasn't being critical.
No, I thought you were going to say, and if that's you, stop it. Well, that's it for episode 241.
I mean, it's the person that they plan an outdoor party for somebody, and then it rains.
Right.
Of course,
why couldn't I could have done an indoor party? You know, like come on, that's not your fault.
Well, but yeah, or of course it happened to you. Maybe it's not even your fault, but of course it would happen to me. You have such a heart for these people. Nobody chooses to be this way. I feel
so bad for these, that mentality. Like, it makes me really sad.
Imagine being married to somebody that every time you say, honey, can you imagine all the stuff we talk about with emotional needs? And anytime you say to them, hey, I was thinking, the other day, oh, here we go. I'm the worst.
What did I do?
Of course I'm the worst.
I've done that. I've been guilty of that.
Which?
Personalizing, like being I did it again. Here we go. Like
I've seen you do it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the worst.
It's something I'm working on.
Yeah.
Number 2, usually what occurs is not, and these are just truths that we need to embrace. What occurs is not aimed at us, or it's more a statement about the other person than it is about us. So in essence, you're driving and a car honks at you. No, put these angers aside for a second. A person who personalizes is like, oh my gosh, I was driving wrong. What's wrong with me? I must have made a mistake, whatever else. Like, no, that person's a jerk.
Yeah, they're just a jerk.
Like, how many of us have had those situations where somebody honks at you, gives you the finger, and they're wrong?
Oh, yeah.
And how infuriating that is.
Oh, I'm so angry right now.
Yeah. And yet the person who personalizes everything is going to be like, or even if they know that they didn't do anything wrong, they're like, well, of course that person would be angry at me. Like, no, they're an a-hole. That's all it is. So it says more. If somebody treats you like crap, maybe they're not nice.
Right.
Maybe you're not actual crap.
Or just a slightly different perspective. Maybe it's not that they're not a nice person, but it's that, look, their cup's overflowing today. They can't handle it. Their situation.
Well, it's about them, not about you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, you don't. It hasn't.
It's not they're a raging idiot. It could have been a bad moment. But it's more about them.
Still, it's not your fault. Yeah.
Than it is about you.
Have we ever done an episode on what you should own and what you shouldn't? Because like I think that's
cats.
It's what, owning cats? No, I mean things like instances like that. Like, what are you accepting? I think we've done something like that.
I don't know that we have, and I don't know how that we would, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
like if we each made up our own list of questions, but how would we do that?
I don't know. I think
a traffic incident. Well, it depends. Did I do something wrong?
Right. Like there, we might have to have like a matrix of, but I don't know. But my point is, I think that there's a Venn
diagram, but for a person who personalizes everything, they're the entire center circle.
their circle just encompasses all other circles.
Goes beyond the actual.
But I mean, we could talk about
lotus.
We could talk about some principles, like people sometimes are jerks. Number 1. Number 2, everybody's on their journey. You might have caught them on a bad spot today. Number 3, you know what I mean? So if you run into this situation, don't own that. You didn't do this, or you know what I mean? Like, I do. Because I think this kind of person's just like, they're just sucking up everything and saying, I'm owning it all. And like, you can't live like that. So.
Yeah, to present it in a neat package, I think would be a challenge, but it's certainly worth pursuing.
Yeah, I like the concept.
I think it'd be an interesting. Yeah. So, but if this is you, stop owning stuff that you don't need to own. Say no. Push it away.
Stop it.
Well, and I think what's not in my notes, but it just occurred to me, is there's a hidden security blanket in personalizing everything.
Ugh.
And here's what I mean by that.
I get it. Like, I understand, I think.
Do you want to flesh it out? Or do you want me to say it?
Well, if I internalize this, I'm finding some kind of distorted comfort in this because it gives me some kind of meaning.
That's a different way than I was going.
Okay.
What I was going to say is, if everything's my fault, and everything's my fault, of course it's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. Well, when it's really your fault, then there's something you could work on. But if everything's your fault, then you just wallow in that. But like, no, this wasn't your fault. This wasn't your fault. And this wasn't your fault. But this was. And I want you to address it. Mm-hmm. But instead, they're just like, well, it's all my fault. And I'm just worthless.
It's a big giant fault stew.
A little bit of frog in it. So there's some biblical truths. And what I would like is don't look at these. Don't look at me.
I have not. I was just.
I'm going to read the verse and say, how does this apply to personalization? Personalizing. I always want to say personalization. Romans 12:3 says, "For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourselves more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourselves with sober judgment, in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you." How does this apply to personalizing? Do not think of yourselves more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourselves with sober judgment, in accordance with the faith God has distributed.
There's a twisted when you take on, even if you're blaming yourself for everything, there's a certain heightened importance that you're putting on yourself.
And you're not judging soberly the things that you're taking on.
Both brilliant. I think it's actually true. If you think you're the main character syndrome,
Yeah.
and like, oh, they weren't even thinking about you. I just want you to know that when they made this decision, you weren't even in the landscape. So you were elevating yourself.
God doesn't hate you because it rained on your parade. Like,
no, he likes the crops.
yeah, like, sorry you happened to play in the thing that day. It's not like God hates you.
You should say that to them.
I hate you right now, but God doesn't hate you.
Totally different. That's where sober judgment comes in.
And that is the other end of it, is sober judgment. Are you being sober, or are you still inebriated by the hurts of your past?
Yeah. Ooh, nice.
That's a good.
Inebriated about. That's a shirt. Let's get that. Let's get that in the merch.
Put it in the hopper there. Put it in the queue. How's it coming, by the way?
It's coming. Don't you worry.
Philippians 2:3 and 4. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others.
These are so powerful to me because they turn it.
You're like, I should read the Bible more often. Has this been in here the whole time?
You just slipped that one in.
I don't read no, but I just mean like from this perspective, like it really, it's like flipping the personalizing on its head. It really is like it's turning it into like, hey, like you find yourself at fault for all these things, but really, you just focus outside of yourself. Like this is it's like a healthy mindfulness exercise almost. Like
it's perspective.
Yeah.
You know, it's can you read the Philippians one again, or the
Romans one?
The one you just read, yeah.
Wait, just now.
Just the one you just read.
Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others.
So to be this person that personalizes things like this is a form of vanity.
One would say.
Yeah.
Again, imposed upon you by your hurts.
Of course.
We're not saying anybody that does this is a bad person. They're
Right.
trapped in their hurts.
right.
But yeah, because you said it earlier. You're the main character. It's
Trapped
always
in
my
vanity.
fault, or
Yeah.
I never get what I want.
Like trapped staring at the mirror at yourself. Like,
because you were either crapped on or ignored.
yeah.
So you had to elevate yourself.
It's like you're standing there looking at the mirror going, I'm so ugly. I'm so dumb. I'm so everything, like, but you don't leave the mirror.
Yeah.
You know, like how tragic is that?
It's like worse than
toxic.
setting yourself up for failure. Like,
Because with failure, there's disappointment.
yeah, like you're always at failure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just always at lack of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Failure means I had a goal and I didn't reach it.
Yeah.
I'm just wallowing in nothingness.
Yeah.
But the end of that is also important, and you referenced that a little bit, Brian. Not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others. So if you sub out interest and go with like perspective, like if I'm only thinking about me, then I'm only thinking about me. But if I go, oh, wait, why did they say that? What might they have been going through? Or what else could that possibly mean? If I'm only looking at my interests, then that's not an accurate way to do it.
I used to be this kind of a person, and I had a little bit of this this tendency in my personality, and I'm talking like probably pre 2000s to 2000, or like early like 2000 to 2005-ish, 6-ish. I remember being on a trip with some friends of mine. We went down to see fish. It was kind of a mini road trip. And I ran into that's where I'm talking about like, oh, it's raining. It's like I got so upset during that trip because like I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted the car ride to be perfect. I wanted camping to be perfect. I wanted everything to be perfect, and it wasn't. And I was just getting like super upset. And my friends were like, "Stop being an a-hole." Like they called me on it. It was one of those moments where I was like, I was grateful for that, because okay, well. I am being a baby about this, and I have no right to be a baby about this. And then I think so that when I think about this kind of main character syndrome, it's a toxic thing to me. Like it's not a healthy way to go about living. So when I think about how that changed with me, that was one incident for in particular. But then I remember going through. This period where things weren't working out financially for Lex and I, early on in our marriage. And I went through this period where I just it was like God revealed to me, you're so entitled. Ooh. The entitlement mentality that I had, like walking through this world as a 20-something in the United States, and just wallowing in everything that I didn't have.
I didn't get the affluence that I was looking for.
Yes,
when 80% of the world doesn't have clean drinking water.
Right, and so, but that's when like the unfolding of you are entitled. How do you combat that? Gratitude. Those two things. Like I really went through a period of 6 months to a year where like that just completely shifted in me, and from that point on. That I don't consider myself this kind of a person anymore, because I have learned the practice of gratitude. We've talked about that before.
Can I just say, Brian, I like the contrast between those two stories too. Because like in the first one, how it was your friends, and it's awesome. Like you were in a place to receive that, and sometimes some people wouldn't be, but like it was you didn't realize it yourself, but your friends were like, "Hey, this is what you're doing on this trip."
Right.
That could have made it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm just trying to make everything good for you guys. And
right.
Yeah.
No, they were like, quit being a dummy. And I was like, yeah, why am I being like this? We're here to have fun.
Yeah.
And then in the second one, it was totally a self-realization thing. Like just, or God speaking to you and but coming to a self-awareness.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But speaking of God, I think it's important to take a look at where you were theologically during the time when you and Lex were going through that, because you were attending a church that told you, if you believe enough, if you pray enough, if you give enough, if you do all this stuff, you will be blessed. And here you were not blessed. So therefore, guess what?
It's your fault.
It's your fault.
Idiot.
So of course you would sit there and say, this is terrible. And so it wasn't even a childhood inherent hurt that caused this in this moment or perspective. It was some faulty God talk.
Toxic philosophy.
I'm not going to ask on the air what church that was, but I'm going to ask afterwards. Remind me. I want to know where you were.
It was not Faith Community Church.
No.
Nope.
I say you can be the best person in the world. You still mean that God squat. So 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you.
Simple.
If we just did that, like if again, that's one of those ones where like you
read right past it.
How do I do the Bible? How does this Bible thing work? You take that scripture and you every day go, how am I going to practice this today? How do I cast my care?
And what does that look like?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's a slogan almost. Okay, so you take somebody who's never read the Bible, doesn't know Jesus, whatever else. Okay, cast all your anxiety on him. Okay, what does that look like? You know what I mean? It's talking to him. It's praying to him. It's journaling like you like to do so much.
I'm worrying right now, God. Here you go.
I'm worrying right now. Simple as that. But it's not just a slogan. It's a practice.
Ooh, I've got a great analogy addition. So we've been talking about the vanity and staring in the mirror, right? What do people do? on mirrors, they put inspirational
Oh, sure.
phrases. So if you're stuck in personalizing and like staring at yourself in the quote unquote mirror all the time, put some of these Bible verses on your mirror so that you can glance to the side and see those. And
They also cast spells into mirrors, and how much of what we're doing when we're practicing this perverted form of vanity is casting a spell over ourselves. I'm just the worst. I deserve this. You're confirming.
Well, switch on your brain. You're creating patterns in your brain that are going to be harder to break. So whether it can be a spiritual or literally a physical thing that you're creating in your brain. Here's the effect it has upon a relationship. When we take everything personally, we run the risk of overreacting to our spouse or loved one and causing unnecessary tension in the relationship. You dadgum right we do.
been there.
So how do we overcome it? Again, this is for you. If your spouse, if your loved one is stuck and everything they do is personalizing, good luck introducing this to them. You know, because you're going to say, hey, listen, I want to talk about, of course, it's just another way that begin by taking notice of incidents when personalizing has taken place. It may even be helpful to write them down. You may have strong feelings of anger, upset, or hurt.
So be conscious, be aware, be intentional.
So yeah.
Wait, is this writing things down about yourself?
Yeah,
or
like when
about-
you're personalizing things.
Okay.
You know, when you go, when you hear yourself say, of course this would happen to me.
Right.
Okay, well, what happened to you? Okay, how did you feel about it in that moment? So you make that list. Number 2, ask your partner to help you identify the lies. So, of course, I would get laid off. Oh, that'd be a tough one, though. Because your partner's like, you got laid off? But, of course the concert got canceled. Now, see, this is tough because we're introducing what? So what they're encouraging is, you definitely don't, Lex does not personalize anything.
Very rarely.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So you guys were going to go to a musical last week downtown. You weren't. I'm making up an example that won't happen in the future so that, okay, yeah.
All right, let's see.
And so then the musical that she's wanted to see, Chicago, she wanted to see Chicago for years. And you're going to take her to see Chicago, but it got canceled. And she says, of course this would happen to me. Now, step number 2 is ask your partner, you're the partner,
That's me.
to help identify the lies. Now, all right. Well, the lies is what? Facts, logic, and reason. Well, honey, no, the lead character got sick.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with you. So what we're encouraging is to give facts, logic, and reason.
Oh man, big guy's gonna love this.
General big guy, this one's for you.
But my first response was, well, why would you think that this is because of you? Like, that's my first reaction to anybody thinking,
Critical.
like,
No, I'm just like that's the improper response.
You're thinking wrong.
is that critical?
Yeah,
or
that is
it-
critical.
Oh, I'm critical.
But we're missing, why isn't it wrong to do this then? Why should they give facts, logic, and reason? Why is it okay?
Because we've spoken almost every time we talk about facts, logic, and reason. It's
It's
like,
right,
don't
it's the
do it
wrong-
first.
Correct. It's always don't do it.
Is it reassuring?
No.
All right.
I'm stumped.
Yeah, because I don't get it.
Because you don't want to join them here, do you? Like,
It is your
I don't want to
fault.
join them in that land.
Of course it happened to you.
Here's why. Because the person already wants to stop personalizing or they're not in this game.
Okay.
So
fair.
step 1 was taking note of incidents. So number 1, man, I was so mad that the concert got canceled. Wow. And and it was and of course it happened to me. And I was disappointed, dejected, upset, whatever else. Step number 2, ask your partner to help identify the lies.
Okay.
So
Okay. So it's a request.
So it's a request.
you've already agreed to join them.
You probably
Like, you're
said,
right.
"Oh man, I was so
you listen
I'm
to this
disappointed
podcast and
too.
you did it right.
I was looking forward to the concert. Honey, help me understand. Is this maybe not about me? Well, I'm glad you asked.
Right.
You're bat crap crazy. No, but so they're asking for facts, logic, and reason, and we always talk about facts, logic, and reason. We say, when do you give it?
yeah.
When they ask
When
for
they
it.
ask.
When they ask for it.
Yeah.
So that's why
All
it's
comes
okay.
around.
Man.
Number 3, practice replacing them, the negative thoughts.
In your marriage. You know what? I'm over this whole mentality.
This is about you, and I'm done. Well, that's episode 241. Practice replacing them, which goes back to last week, and it's going to be a concurring theme, taking thoughts captive with more rational, truthful thinking. And that was the think on things that are true. So you replace the negative with what possibly, maybe the entire musical did not revolve around you. Maybe. I'm just saying.
Wild.
I'm just saying.
Stay with me here.
Maybe that satellite that fell out of the sky and landed in your front yard was not magnetically attracted to your DNA. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Crazy thoughts.
So they gave us one example. We just came up with some examples right there with the musical and everything else. A friend phones to cancel coming for coffee because she needs, I love this, because she needs to visit her in the hospital. So friend's going to go over to her friend's house, but calls, says, listen, I can't make coffee. I can't make it for coffee. I got to go visit my mom. She's in the hospital. The person who personalizes reaction. She just probably didn't want to come for coffee anyhow.
Yep.
I mean, man, if you think like that, that's crazy.
Except
I
Now
know
what-
some people that do.
I know.
What
I
if
know.
it's,
me
you
too?
know-
Me too.
What if it's the third time canceling in 3 weeks?
Well, of course she did.
My third mom's in the hospital.
she comes up, she's like,
You have 3 moms?
she's like, okay, so let me see here. Couldn't come for coffee, mom in hospital. Couldn't come for coffee, dad in hospital. Couldn't come for coffee, mom and dad in the hospital.
Right.
Boy, rough stretch your family's going through there. The consequences of that reaction, they feel rejected. They feel hurt. They're annoyed that they didn't have coffee. And they neglected to show concern for their friend's mother.
Yeah, I mean, that's horrible. Man, that's just horrible.
They may go on to think that she doesn't like me anyway. In fact, no one really likes me.
Yeah, that's a lot of personalizing.
Yeah. And there's people that do that.
So if they would take these thoughts captive, they might be able to say, you know, I'm very disappointed that we didn't get to have coffee. But my friend does have to go to her mother. I'm going to look forward to being able to rearrange it for another day. I wonder how I can support my friend while my mother is ill. Eric?
I missed it.
It's just the way Brian said it. It was just like, whoa.
What did Brian say? Chris and I were
Yeah. And there's people that do that.
It just hit me. I don't know. It was just like womp. Like that was over. Like sorry. I'm good. I'm good.
I love an inside joke.
I hope to be part of one day.
Poem. Poetry. So instead, be a normal person is what we're saying.
Yes.
And say, ha, sucks. Would love to have coffee. Hey, do you need anything? Let me know. Oh, Eric's gone. It's funny.
Well, the
Bo.
way you said it, hey, you need it?
Let's all just look at Eric. I just knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Every time I try
it's
to
all
Every
your
time you
fault.
try to have a podcast.
Eric just loses it in an absolute mess of nervous laughter.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
So, what I would encourage you to do, if you've got a loved one who this is them, I don't know, man. I'm saying, no, I'm not being funny. I'm like, maybe say, hey, I'm kind of bored. You want to listen to a podcast?
Oh, there you go.
Turn this on and just be like, that's really weird.
What's this episode about?
But it's tough because
Yeah.
it's a tough one to breach.
It's just, it really is a tough entry into this conversation because immediately,
You hate me.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
It's the
Of course, this would happen.
unless you have incredible grace in those moments, and it comes back really to building to having that relationship. Like you can have very difficult or awkward conversations with people, like you said, you've invested the time in. You're not going to go. Maybe you don't have this conversation with your boss or somebody that's more of a casual, somebody in your life. But I think you can pursue these kind of things. But man,
But I think it also goes back to, first of all, husband or wife or other person in the relationship. Are you putting everything on them? You may be the one that's perpetuating this. So you want to clean up your end first. But it also goes to like what I talked about in church on Sunday. If somebody is alone in shame, it's hard to love them because, well, they're in shame. They're not telling you.
Right.
So you have to live a genuine life. You have to live an authentically kind and loving life for the ability to earn the right to say, it's not always your fault. I know.
Right.
So, we're praying for you. We're here for you. We want to help you through it. And if this is you, we would love to speak truth into you because it's not your fault most of the time. Sometimes it really is.
Sometimes it is.
Throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is, but it's not always your fault.
Yeah.
And that's it for episode 241. Join us next Wednesday live at 8:30-ish for episode 242. Between now and then, please give us a like or follow on social media and visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, take our relational needs questionnaire. Thanks for joining us at the table for Lunchtime in Rome.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.